This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
It's the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast.
We're old school, right? We wash our own dirty laundry.
The name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
I refuse to be judged by a grown man wearing a hockey jersey.
Game on! Game on!
We are back with another episode of the Game-Worn Dirty Laundry. God's sakes. I've already feel like I've been drinking. We've been talking for 30 minutes. The Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast. Wade, Paul, and Robert joining us. A big fan of Seider and the Wings. We're going to get into some of that here in a few. So welcome, Robert.
Thank you, guys. Wonderful to be on the show.
Hey, and I can't wait to get to your story and the Red Wing sale and the collection so that'll definitely be fun. First of all, of course, the Buffalo Trace is the bourbon of choice with old fashions this evening. Robert, you're holding up something there. What are you drinking?
Grey Goose on the rocks.
Oh, there you go. I don't know many straight vodka guys.
Yeah, a little Russian. So, yeah.
Wade with hoping for the Dr. Pepper sponsorship. 1 week, they'll reach out to us. And what's Paul got in the magic silver cup?
Water, straight water. That's yes.
California
after the show, so it's still early out here.
Yes, it is. With the time zone, I think it's like noon in San Jose. I mean, you never can keep track of these things.
It feels like it. So yes.
Not a ton overall in the hobby. We'll touch on a few things. The we talked about it last week because it was about to wrap up. The Babe Ruth jersey did sell $24.12 million, but that was that with the hammer fee or without? I've not been able to find the final listing to say what the hammer fee was. I thought it was closer to 28 with the hammer fee.
I don't think that included the juice.
Wow.
But again, congratulations to the buyer and the seller on that. Wow. I mean, those are kind of historic auctions that cool to see because you can remember when that's auctioned off for us in the hobby. Other than that, I kind of scoured different auction sites and really didn't see anything that stuck out or important. NHL Auctions has some game use sticks supporting the alumni. Beyond that, I've not seen much. I know Tampa Bay did have an auction I saw the other day. It was shared. Most of what those were, there are some game-worn jerseys, I think, either in their auction or in their online store. But they had a bunch of blanks they sold. A lot of teams we're seeing do that now that are blowing out the blank made in Canada jerseys. And for people who want to get authentics made, that's a way to do it. But holy crap, some of those Tampa ones were listed at like $350 or $400 for a blank.
Pro Stock Hockey has a bunch of Devils jerseys and Rangers jerseys.
Yes, they do.
Like $229, $239 for the Rangers, depending on the size, and they've got the Devils ones are like $169, $189, which is steal prices. That's like you're saying. If you're looking for that, wow.
Yeah, we complain about strippers and not the kind you throw dollar bills at, the jersey strippers. That's a way to go get it at a semi-reasonable price. Speaking of them, they did list, and they've been listing some other teams with this, but today is drop, and there's a handful of them left. Seattle Kraken practice jerseys, and these do have numbers, and most of them do have names on the back. The only one they had marked in the title were Shane Wright's. And then any of the rest of them, if you go in, it's a random number. You don't know who you're getting. You pick the size. There's goalies in different colors, but you don't know who you're getting. The Shane Wright ones were the only ones that were actually listed as his. And I believe those are all sold out. They range from 139 or actually 119 to 169. But if you like game worn, and these are worn, they say they're beat up, they've got used to them because they're actual practice / training camp jerseys. So if you're wanting to get even just a Kraken practice one, there's a way to get it at a pretty reasonable price. I feel I will say I did again, but no names on the back because they're just regular practice jerseys. Picked up a nice goalie cut one from the Blues for $50. Those sold out quickly, but those are, since it's not, there's no name, no number or anything. I use that when I play goal. So, but for $50, I'm not going to complain. Paul, you got some expo dates.
Yes. The Winnipeg Expo was just the past weekend, and Justin went to that, and he's hopefully the next show he can cover that for us. But the new date that we've heard about is the Southern Cal Expo, the one that Michael Ruland hosts. That will be in February rather than October. And it's going to be at the same location in Valencia. Well, he doesn't have the exact date yet. I think he's talking with the hotel, trying to finalize everything. But that's always a fun show, that down in Southern Cal. And I believe that's the only new expo that we have that information about. Everything else is the same as it was a couple weeks ago.
And Wade's is just around the corner, faster and faster every day.
Yeah, I got to get on it. We had a lot of personal stuff going on, so I've been a little off. But I mean, we're still a go. It's just I need to. I'm still working on a couple autograph guests, and it's going to be a fun time. So ready to rock.
So, and thank you, Paul, finding the actual auction link. It looks like with the hammer fee, $28,944,000.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'd kill for that money though. I'd kill for $100 right now. But that's a hell of a piece. And if we see some other big, I'd love to see some big hockey ones come up, if they hit the right things there. You said the Barracuda have a sale this Saturday?
Yeah, 10 or 11 a.m. 10 a.m. for season ticket holders, 11 for general public. And that will be at the store at Sharks Ice. They have a pro shop there, not the one in the TechCU Arena, but there's actual pro stock store there, or sorry, equipment store, whatever you want to call it. And that will have gear. My understanding from talking to people at the Barracuda is that none of the jerseys that were not for sale already at the previous Sharks equipment sale or draft day party will be there. They're not supposed to be bringing any new jerseys from 23, 24. There is a possibility of some older ones could be there. They didn't know if those got moved into there or not. Should be a fun day. Mitch and I and others will go down. We'll be there. Logan, we'll be there early probably and hanging out and seeing everyone. Heading upstairs to Stanley's for a burger afterwards. And there is a tournament there this weekend. That's part of the reason why they chose to do it on Labor Day weekend, which seems to be a strange time for an equipment sale.
We've seen the Blues do that, though, when there's some big tournaments at Centene, their practice facility. They'll bring a bunch of gear there because they know some of those kids may be able to use sticks or gloves, whatnot, when they play. And it's not a bad idea to do it. So kind of a nice way to maybe give players a chance, younger players get a chance to have some pro stock gear.
Yeah, they bring that. I think they might bring some of that stuff if they have a lot of leftover from the summer sale where they sell a lot of helmets and skate guards and all that crazy stuff. So
hopefully they'll bring it to your expo in October.
Yeah, let's hope.
Speaking of Mitch, of course, we have to plug our first and only sponsor, Drink Your Face Off. You need a shirt, a bottle opener, things like that. He can help you with that. So please reach out to Mitch. He plugs the hell out of the show after we post it, sends it around. So we do appreciate all his support. At some point, we just want him to do a cross-country trek while driving the Zamboni. That would be awesome.
No,
we got to get him to somehow get in the screen with Paul one night.
It's coming. It's coming soon. And speaking of him and Paul, I know you were on the conversation earlier. For anybody else that saw it on the Kings forum, is a double locker stall somebody who's just giving away? So
the story on that is it's a double locker stall from whatever the Kings Arena is. X number of years old. And my sister, who lives in the LA area, found it on Buy Nothing, which is if you're not familiar with it, it's a program where people gift. They don't sell, they don't trade. It's only gifting. You offer items for free and people can say they want it. And my sister got chosen for this one. Now, the problem is it's huge, it's heavy. I wanted it for up here, and it's just too much work to get up to San Jose. So if anyone listening to the show in the LA area wants 2 locker stalls from the LA Kings before this Saturday, you're welcome to them. They're being gifted to whoever wants them. I know Mitch would have use for them, but it's a pain to get up here. Everyone I checked in with in the LA area, like, those are really cool. I have no idea where I will put them. You know, they don't have the room.
It'd be different, like here and again, not knocking different parts of the country, but here in the Midwest with Wade or myself, we've got usually a little bit more room to shove some of the stuff. When you get into more expensive housing areas, that extra room gets much tighter, and more important things go in that area.
Yeah,
so good luck. I'm hoping somebody lands them, because that's amazing to give away. My God, some of the teams that sell those are hundreds or $1,000 for one of those.
Yeah, and
those are big money.
Yeah, you can't identify who it is. Used it, but it's free, and it would be a great display piece. To put stuff in. I mean, the Seider jerseys would look good in it, but it's
Robert, fly out, pick that up, would you?
Yeah,
absolutely. Why not?
But getting it checked back to Michigan could be a real pain in the ass.
I would probably rent a U-Haul and just go across country stuff.
Hey.
I would do it, absolutely.
We'll talk after the show. It's available. It's free.
Yeah, so and if somebody does land it, let us know. We'd like to know that it made it into a collector's hand somewhere. But I neglected to mention at the top of the show, but also for a reason, because Wade and I used to watch him. Robert watches him now. But this is episode number 57. The David Perron episode of Dirty Laundry. So Robert had mentioned that earlier in chat this afternoon, that he realized that's what it was. So it was just perfect. So Robert, tell us a little bit about yourself first, and how you got started in the hobby, and why you're into cider and the wings.
Okay. So I'm 47 years old, and been a hockey fan since, like I was telling you off air, it was actually the Soviets that got me into hockey, because I love the cycle and stuff like that. Didn't really like the NHL that much at that time. Then Fedorov comes to the Wings, and then I was hooked. And just like everybody back in those days, I started off collecting the hockey cards and authentic stuff. Had no idea about game worn stuff at all. I did get a couple pieces of Fedorov, but sadly, some things happened where they're lost and they're not here anymore. So I would love to get my hands on some more Fedorov stuff. But how I got back into it, so 3 years ago, Seider and Raymond's rookie year, the 2021-22 season, me and my fiance, we were just out on night on the town, getting ready to go to out to a restaurant, and lo and behold, as we're walking in, my fiance notices Seider sitting outside of they're standing outside of the restaurant, and he's on the phone, and she just loses her stuff. Like, she's shaking up and down. She got her hand over her mouth. She's pointing at him. He sees us, and he wraps up his phone call. And so we didn't know at the time was he was waiting for his car to get valeted out, because he was done for the evening. And I say he gave us 15, 20 minutes of his time. It's not even an exaggeration. I instantly went right back to my childhood with the 80s and the 90s hockey players that, just was so wholesome, sweet, just class act guys. Today's athlete in all sports, that's kind of lost sometimes and stuff like that. But this kid, a young man, I shouldn't call him a kid, but this young man, he left me just so impressed with him. Like, he was funny, sweet, smart, just humble, down to earth. And I just kept him talking just to keep him there. And we went on and on and on. And then I don't know what possessed me to do it, because at this point, I have no game used equipment whatsoever. And at the end of the conversation, I just shot my shot, and I said, hey, what's the chances of someone like me getting a game used stick from you? He's like, very good. And it was actually the night before a Tampa Bay game, and it was a matinee game. He goes, hey, and he doesn't realize that in the player section where they come off the tunnel, if you don't have tickets for that section, you can't get in that section. But it all worked out. So he says, well, if you go to warm-ups, I'll give you a stick. Just stand above where we come out of the tunnel and I'll give you a stick. And so me being me, I'm like, you're not capping, right? Like, for real, like, you're going to do this? He's like, yeah. I was like, I'm going to wear the same outfit I got on right now. So I went home, went to work the next day. We never go to warm-ups. We're those people that show up 5 minutes before the puck drops, get in our seats, get our drinks, and we're watching a hockey game. But we got there extra early. I'm double fisting Grey Goose, and I'm still like not getting my hopes up at this time. I'm like, I don't know. It may happen, it may not happen. So he comes out of the tunnel. He's holding 2 sticks. He's got 2 sticks in the rack, like every player does. At that time, Larkin and Bertuzzi would have multiple sticks lined up on the bench. But Seider comes out with 2 sticks. He sets one up on the right next to the stick. He goes into his routine. It's warm-ups are 15 minutes. About the 7.5 mark, he comes, skates over, never makes eye contact with me and my fiance. But I can only imagine the conversation was to one of the equipment staff. If you see that couple up there above the tunnel, give him that stick, and he skated off in his routine. The equipment guy goes over, gives a stick, gives it to us, and it was crazy. And I mean, I'm smiling, you know, from ear to ear. I sent you the pictures. I sent you the video, so you saw. Yeah. And so a couple of weeks go by, and you know, being a middle-aged man, you know, these players sometimes I think they have that idea, or just in general, so many people have abused these players that somebody's out there for something and not want to give something in return, and you know, they're chasing their autographs or things like this. So people are always pulling at them. So as a couple of weeks go by, I'm telling my girl, I'm like, I want to do something for this guy. Like, I'm so impressed with him, and I want to give him something. So we go back into the restaurant again, and I'm gonna get him like a gift card or something to this restaurant. And lo and behold, he's sitting in a booth, and I'm like, wait a minute,
must be his favorite place,
his spot. But it's a night before a game again, right? So we sit down and we're like, all right, we're gonna eat. And so we sit down and we eat, and then our waiter comes over, and I say, listen, you see that guy over in the booth over there? He's like, yeah. I was like, I'd like to buy their meal. And so they're like, all right, I'll check it out. And so he comes back, he goes, you know what? This is a business dinner that he's involved in. Someone's actually going to be buying him something because someone's trying to, you know, get him to sponsor something or some kind of thing like that. So I said, all right. So I let it go. You know, they walked out after dinner and stuff like that. And so probably a couple of weeks go by again. This I can't shake this out of my mind. I continue to want to do something for this kid. So this time I'm talking to I don't want to go into detail, but staff of the Red Wings that can get a gift card and an envelope, and it's actually around his birthday at this time. So I wanted to give him a birthday card and a gift card to this restaurant. I'm like, could you get it to his locker room stall? And they're like, yeah, we'll do that for you. So it's a night before an Ottawa game. And I go in the restaurant again, and lo and behold, he's sitting there. Half of the Ottawa Senators are in there, and he's in a booth with Tim Stützle. So once again, at this point, I was just walking in. We weren't going to eat. My girls, you know, doing laps around the building, you know, with the car, you know, because the parking's crazy. And so I was like, I looked over at the bar, and there's 3 spots open. And I'm like, hey, can I sit at the bar and eat? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. So I text my girl, and I'm like, hey, park the car. We're having dinner. And so the bar staff's over there, and we order food. And I was like, I want to buy their food. And they're like, okay, we'll let you do that. So they get done with their food. They're looking around for the bill. It doesn't come. And eventually they're like, that couple over there, they picked up your bill. And Seider's face is just like, he's like floored. Tim has no idea what's going on. He's like, what is this? So they come over and they thank us and stuff like that. And I say, hey, I don't know if you remember us or not, but we met you out here, you know, probably about a month ago or something like that. You left me with just I was so impressed with you. And I just want to let you know that not everybody just wants a piece of you. Some people are just genuine, you know, like the person and stuff like that. And he thanked us. And he said he remembered us, but you know, at that point, you never know. Later on, we're going to find out that he definitely knows who I am. But, and then I just, out of nowhere, I go, hey, Tim, how you doing? And Tim's like, how do you know me type of thing. And so that whole experience, you know, led into that equipment sale. And I just started getting more and more stuff. And it's Seider himself is what got me into this into the hobby.
And that's a cool way is to be tied. And we have a lot of collectors in the hobby that are a one player guy. And I did that for a little bit. And I know you've listened to all the podcasts. You said you listen to them all to get ready for tonight, which I love. We all appreciate that, but talking about my buddy Mike McKenna and following his career and picking up jerseys from around the league. And while I picked up blue stuff too, his stuff when he was playing was my focus because that stuff gets expensive. Goalies are always harder to pick up. But so how did you land your first one?
The first stick or
the first jersey?
Oh, first jersey. So the first one was so I was hooked like the whole after Seider gave me the stick. I was sold. It just brought all those that inner child feelings come rushing back, and I just wanted to get a piece of this guy any way I could. Like I said, I was just so impressed with this kid. And so I think it was the radio announced that there was an equipment sale, and I had no idea. Like I'm green at this point, so we set out to go camp out, the night before, and I actually did a ride. I did a drive by the stadium, and I saw about 6 or 7 people there. So.
And what year was this?
This would be the 2021-2020 season, 22 season. So that's Seider and Raymond's rookie season.
And also, real quick, were you aware of that a game worn or a game used hobby existed?
I was, but from a distance, and I didn't have much to go on it, and I didn't really give it much thought because I was kind of so butthurt with losing a couple of pieces of Federer back in the day that I kind of just wrote it off. But like I said, that interaction with Seider it lit a fire in me that I couldn't let it go. I don't, I can't even explain it. It's almost like weird, but like it shook me to my core, and it kept me chasing. I wanted more, and I just wanted a piece of the game.
It definitely can be an addiction. All right, so you drive around to check out the sale first, and how many is this the day before or 2 days before?
No, it's just the day before. So most of the time the sales in Detroit are like on a Saturday morning, and this was probably around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday that I saw some people camping out. So I went home, got all the stuff, my girl, we went down. At this point, we're number 9. We're like 8 and 9 and 9, and we didn't know what to expect. Everybody in front of us seemed to know each other. They all seemed to be, going to help each other quickly or something like that, which was no big deal. We didn't know what to expect. There was a gentleman that was 3 spots in front of us, and he seemed to know everything. He had all this intel, and so I told my girl, and so we were new, so they were actually intimidated by us. It felt like they were like, "Who are you here for? What are you after?" So they were kind of feeling us out. We're like, we told them the whole Seider story and stuff like that. And this gentleman's like, "You're not going to get anything of Seider. My intel says that Seider took one of his sets, and Detroit Archives took one of the jerseys. So there's only one here. There's a gentleman in front of the line that he's going to try to get the Seider on his hands if he can." And then there was a couple other people in front of him who was going to try to get to some random stuff from Seider if they could. And so we weren't expecting too much. And then about half an hour, an hour before the sale opens up, we have lawn chairs and sleeping bags and all that kind of stuff that everyone just puts out in their car, back to their car. And everyone kind of knows where their spot is, and everyone gets online. But once the chairs get put away, everyone's grouped up like cattle now. You're real close. So for me, gentleman that was like first in line that was hoping to get a Seider, he sparked up him and my fiance. They started a conversation, and he was telling him the whole backstory again. It's like that. They instantly hit it off. So the doors open, and I'm lost. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm walking through there. These other people that flying, they salute through there. The people behind me don't salute through there, and I'm just like this nitpick type of thing. I get my hand
because you're late to the party, as it were, because most of the other guys that are up front or collectors have done this for multiple years and know what to expect walking in the door. You're, for lack of a better term, popping your cherry on your first ever equipment sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I get my hands on his water bottle, and there was a stick and a young fan, a girl. I mean, this girl's probably 16 years old. and she grabs a cider stick. And at that time, that stick was like $700 stick. And I was just so happy for her because like she spent her own money and stuff like that, and it was genuine. Another guy walked away with his pants and his gloves, and so all that intel that was told that that one gentleman said was all false. So the guy, turns out he's a real good friend of mine now. His name's Ken, and he's out of Daytona, Florida. He ended up getting his hands on matching set one jersey home and away of Seider, and he got the set two away jersey, which is right behind me. That's where he scored his 50th point in the folder. He's in New Jersey, and he literally just handed it over to my fiance, and he didn't ask for anything in return, no nothing. And we were floored by that. And then the same guy that had the wrong intel, he constantly kept coming up to us asking if we were going to buy it or not, if we were going to set it down or not, because he was interested in it. But we ended up walking away with the jersey and the water bottle and then some random stuff. And then from there, it just kept getting hooked. I was going to every game. I was going to the team store an hour and a half before the game opened up. Because here in Detroit, most cases, you have to have a ticket to get into the store to get a chance, stuff like that. You can contact the store with your email, and if no one else has a want list for an item that you want, they'll normally work with you and sell it to you that way. But most items hit the team store floor first, so you have to be very active in that. So throughout that whole year, I started gathering a lot of stuff, and so it went from jersey stick, water bottle to I'm going to make my own locker room, a replica locker room or locker stall, and I want one piece of everything. And then it's just snowballed into I've got multiple this. I mean, I've got at least one jersey from every year, and I've got 4 sets of gloves, 2 sets of skates. I got over 20 sticks. I got 2 pair of pants. I've got this is a player hoodie. This is one of his player hoodies. I've got his equipment bag. I've got pretty much everything.
As we said, is you get, okay, I've got these things. Well, wait, now what about this? Or what about this? And you know what? I want to get a mannequin so I can do top to bottom, set it up. And it's no problem with that, but it's just as a new collector, I mean, at least you had a focus of a person and not a team. Could you imagine trying to do so much more? So how did you feel walking out the door after your first equipment sale?
I was so after I went home, I was just like, wow, I just dropped $9,500 on a jersey. Like I was just like, wow. I didn't have any remorse. I didn't really have any remorse. But it was crazy because like I bought used cars for less than that before, you know, and so it was crazy. Thank God year 2 and year 3 was much cheaper,
And you've mentioned her several times. Is what's your fiance think of this, especially because she was at the sale with you?
Yeah, so she's full on board. So she's not a collector herself, thank God, because we'd be in the poorhouse. But she's a person that she loves the entertainment. So she loves going to the game. She probably loves going to games more than I do. She loves that action. She loves getting on the house. Because, you know, here in Detroit, we have the second most overcast day in the country outside of Seattle. So like it's gloom and bloom, right? So it's our gloom and bloom, you know, saying it wrong, but
oh, you're good.
Yeah, so to get us, you know, it's very nice to break up the weeks, those cold months, those dreary months. Like we go down there and we go to every game. Everyone knows us from top to bottom, from police officers to locker room people to whatever. Everyone knows our name. Everyone knows our face, and it's a community, and it's nice. And it's almost like we're the mayors when we go there and stuff like that.
Sounds like Paul in San Jose.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, if you don't know what my name is, most people just say, oh, that's the Seider guy, you know.
Yeah, Wade, you and I may eventually get that way in St. Louis. I think we're starting to head that direction, but
maybe.
So fast forward to this year. Sounds like you started about 6 weeks ahead of time camping out.
Yeah. So funny thing of it is, and I'm normally, I mean, I'm not the most technical guy, but normally I can read between the lines, and there was a lot of chatter throughout the Red Wing groups online, and then even offline, having conversations with people, and people like, hey, when you going out there, blah, blah, blah. So there was some things leaked where somebody must have told somebody that they were going to go out an extra day early. This is something unheard of in Detroit. Like I said, you can show up midday on Friday and you're good. Normally, there's only like 15 people overnight, and then it's not until like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning that the big herd comes. Like that. But I don't remember how it happened, but I just read between the lines. And luckily, I was off Thursday, Friday, but I had to work Saturday afternoon, so it was going to be rough for me. So we drove down there at about 6. We got there at 6:30, and before we got ourselves in the parking spot, I peeked my head over by the entrance where everyone camps out, and I saw 2 people. So
at 6:30 a.m. or p.m.?
No, 6:30 p.m. or at 6:30 p.m. Thursday. So this would be 2 nights before the sale. I peeked over there and I saw two females lounging underneath the team door. So I told my girl, I was like, "Hey, park the car. This is it." So we get over there. We start talking to them. The one lady we didn't know at the time. We ended up becoming friends instantly. The next 48 hours. Her and her husband was camping out for Alex Lyon. Kind of similar story of mine. They have a personal connection with Alex Lyon, and she's the collector, not him. And then they had a mutual friend that was camping out with them, and she's actually a good friend of ours as well. And most people in that line actually know her as well. Like, she's been in the hobby for several years. She donates her time, and she works with the training camp and stuff like that. So everyone knows this young lady in the line and stuff like that. So it wasn't much after that. I want to say about 6:45, my buddy Ken from Daytona, he comes in line and with his 2 sons, and then this other guy, he come up from up north, and he was right behind us. And right as that guy was walking up, we had a little drama. So with it being about 48 hours before, probably like 50 hours before the doors would open, security came out on us, and this lady, this head of security or the security personnel, she was like, "This can't be on property. This is a liability." And we were all professional and stuff like that. But we're like, "Listen, we've camped out. I've camped out this is my 3rd year, but there's some people who've been camping out since LCA opened their doors. So they've been camping out for several years and never had anyone come out there like that on us." So they ended up getting us off of property and kind of put us in a kind of shady area, because where we were at, we have shelter. There was rain in the forecast. There's cameras. So now they put us like in between an alley and a bar, and it's kind of like, what the heck? So we ended up getting her business card, because we were telling her, like, look, other people are going to start coming to the cell, and now we're going to have a fight on our hands, because who's first in line? I was at the door. We were way back here and stuff like that. So it got a little sketchy and stuff like that. So then once we moved down there across from this bar, another good friend of ours, he's a sprung collector. He got there, and so there was 10 of us total for 2 nights, and 5 of us there are only 5 of us that are actually in the hobby. The other ones, it's their spouses and friends that are along for the ride and stuff like that. And it was the 10 of us out there until the next night, Friday night at 6 p.m. that 2 more female friends. So it's really cool about this hobby in Detroit. We've got equally female versus male inside of the hobby circle, and they're just as knowledgeable as the men in this group, and they're just as big a fan as the guys. So it's like there's no battle of the sexes here. They know their stuff, and they're just as much big fans of everything that the guys do, and it's just it's really nice.
So when were you allowed to get back on property?
They told us that they didn't want us back on property until 6 a.m. Saturday morning, and they helped that too. Yeah, and we end up making the best out of it. I probably got about 4.5 hours of sleep in 2 days. The first night I couldn't sleep at all out there. I eventually got about 4 hours. We ended up moving our car right across from us, and I was able to get about 4 hours in the car the second night. And I had to work the next night too. I had to pull an afternoon shift.
So were you guys were you just telling stories and getting food delivered and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, we were getting food delivered, telling stories, and then we were taking shifts too. Like we just made sure that there was just a couple of us at the chairs and stuff like that. And so there was a group of us, my friend Ken and my friend Josh and Ken's 2 sons. We went over to a pizzeria. We walked about a 15-minute walk my girl and the girls, they went out the night before and they went out and they got some food at a restaurant and they got dessert and coffee and stuff like that. Everyone made the most of it. Everyone handled it well. Everyone was just, it didn't matter. It was all cool.
Now, did you have any issues with other people coming up trying to stay up by that door, or you guys gonna fill them in?
I think once or twice, and I think security smashed it. As soon as someone went up there, they pretty much told, "Hey, the line's back there." And I think a couple of the people in line actually was able to talk to the other collectors and say, "Hey, the line's back here." But no one had an issue with it at all. It went smoother than I thought it was going to be honest.
Yeah, you would think that would cause a lot of issues across the board, especially because it's been allowed in years past. Okay, so you're on little sleep. You've had plenty of time outside. Once you're allowed to sit up by the doors, when did the doors actually open for the sale?
If I remember, I want to say either 9 or 10 a.m. If I remember correctly, it was either 9 or 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. And so the cool thing about the way Detroit is, and I hopefully people that set this up don't hear. I mean, obviously they probably hear the podcast, but hopefully they don't change it because it's set up beautifully. So I made sure I was ready for this sale. So the last 2 years, I ended up empty-handed. If it wasn't for my buddy Ken being so generous, taking care of me and helping me out with stuff, I would end up with nothing. So this year I bought binoculars. I'm looking through the glass like just everyone else. They're blowing up their phone, and you can actually see them lay everything out because they got because of that concert that was there on Friday night. The team store and the staff couldn't set everything out there on the main aisle and stuff like that. So they got there about 5 a.m., 6 a.m. and we started watching them set everything up. And the cool thing of it is every set jersey they had a piece of paper stating what set it was and what was on it. So I had a general idea. And then speaking of like the last 2 years where I just strolled in there, and I have a retro story too, which would be funny because they launched that like mid-season when they did the retro jerseys, and it's back here behind me as well. But so I laced it up, my shoes, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be one of these douchebags, and I'm going to run just like everyone else. And my buddy Josh, we were having that pizza, and I was telling him, I really don't want to run. I really don't want to do this. He's like, Rob, you've sat out here for 2 days. You deserve to get what you want. He's like, be that guy and run and get your stuff. So so I kept calling them the Lion couple, and then their friend, they were in front of us. And I told him, I said, like, we're going to treat this like cars, guys. If you're not running, veer to the right because me and Ken are coming up behind you there. We don't want to hurt you guys. And so I ran when the doors open. I ran. And then what I heard is they let the first 20 people in, which was cool that they actually didn't let everyone in like that. So that was kind of nice. All the people that's been out there for the longest, they got a little bit, a couple of minutes before the next crew came in. But I ran there. I got the set one. I got matching Seider set ones in my hand. And then I ended up getting several training camps and preseason jerseys. And my mindset the whole time was I wanted to set one jersey because all the jerseys that I had were set twos. And I was like, I want to get a set one. I haven't gotten a set one. And I was hoping not to get the horrible sponsorship on there, but they ended up putting it on there anyway. But anyway, so I get to set one and I pull both Seiders and I'm just like, wow, this is cool. I actually went to a cell and I actually physically got my items. I didn't have to rely on somebody else or the generosity of someone else to help me out. And it's such a good feeling. My girls getting stuff, Seider stuff like the training camp and the preseason jersey, and then other friends of ours grabbed some other stuff for us. It's like they knew, and we all were just kind of helping each other out and stuff like that. And it was just a really good feeling. I ended up setting I didn't take both Seiders. I ended up putting the set one road away, even though it would have been cool to have matching sets. I was just like, my mindset was I wanted to walk away with one training camp and one preseason jersey along with my gamer. So just to grow the collection and stuff like that. I reached out to a couple of guys that had interest in it, but nobody was willing to pull the trigger on it, and, rightfully so. What was weird though is season 3 Seider jerseys were 5,500. The year before they were cute with the home ones, they were 53, and home and away was 5. So they went up a little bit, which is weird.
And like you said, to go back to part of that is the fact that you felt accomplished because you went there wanting particular things. You actually grabbed it yourself with no help. And you do, as Wade and I have been to sales, or Paul and the other listeners out there, is when, yeah, you're focused on whatever it is and you get it. It is even though you're spending a crap ton of money to get it, it is still an accomplishment, because in your case, you slept out there a hell of a long time. I mean, good on you to do that. I know Paul and I talked a little bit off the air, and I don't know if you heard us, Robert. One year, the Wings, bunch of people that were out in line, they basically gave them numbers and said, come back at this time, go home and get some sleep, which could have also been what they could have done for you guys to not make you sleep out there 2 nights in a row.
That would have been wonderful. I would have liked to have done that. And I would have liked to have seen them do that during the retro set last year. So they were quick on it. So last year, when the retro sets got available to the public, I want to say it might have been maybe 10 or 14 days after they played that 6th game in them, that they were available in the store, and they said, hey, they're going to be available. And I was first in line for that, but it was at a main entrance, and there's like 10 or 15 doors. And then they just kind of like slow you down. There's like 4 or 5, I think there's 6 security things. And then there's only 3 people getting tickets. And so I was first in line, and same girl that was sitting with the Lions people, she was, I want to say she was like 4th or 5th. And then some guys that was in line for this last sale, they were like 8 and 9. They got there behind me. And we were all just talking. Everybody knows everything, like who everybody likes and stuff like that. But there was this guy that I never seen before, and he kind of was asking everybody, like, who was he after and stuff like that. Everybody said it. And so we were all in one line, all respectful. But as the doors are open up, everyone goes to their own. So it's like, okay. But prior to that, so with us being in the clubs, we have other access that's better than most people, that you don't have to suffer from the cold. So my girl went up to the second level, and she's out of the cold, because it was in the cold time. It's like snow and just a little snow and stuff like that, and rain. And so she went up there to get dry and to stay warm. And so if you don't have certain sections of the stadium, you can't go up there. So we had access. So she's like, let's double down. So she went up there, and they hit the doors on her prior to our doors. And I got through security before everyone. I got through the door security, and I got my ticket. I'm strolling along like I always do. I'm getting ready to go into the store, and this guy comes flying by, and he's like, sorry, bro, I got to have that cider. So he gets first in line. I'm standing behind him. And little does he know, my girl's already getting checked out at the register, but I kept it cool. I didn't say nothing.
Little poker face there.
Yeah, a little poker face. I still never said anything like that, even though I hated it. And I'm like, this guy doesn't know who I am. I don't know him. Like, this could have turned very bad. Like you just don't know. And I wish they would find a way to be able to police that. But obviously, like you guys say on a lot of stuff, like it's hard to police all this kind of stuff. But that would have been great with the tag stuff like that. So I regret. So I'm third in line. I regret. So as soon as she bought it, I just dipped out of line. But I regret not buying the Raymond set, because I primarily collect cider, but I do dabble in Raymond as well. And I think, in my own opinion, I think he is the best bargain out there. So his jersey prices this sell was $2,200. Seider, he's pretty much, obviously his deployment, because, everyone knows that he's putting them in the worst situations on ice, in the defensive zone and penalty kill and stuff like that. So him getting points a lot kind of hinder him a little bit. I think he has a little bit more in the tank, and we'll see as the team gets better and stuff like that. But Raymond keeps going like this, and he hasn't balanced off yet. In my own opinion, I think his floor is 70-point player, but I think his ceiling could be 90-point player. I really do. So I think somewhere between 80, 90. And I think the industry, I think Detroit, and I think the fans of Detroit are sleeping on him, because his stuff is very, very reasonable. Like I said, it's $2,200 for his jersey versus a $5,500 for Seider. And Larkins was $5,500. Canes were the Return to Chicago Kane jersey was $17,000. And then there was a red $15,000 one, and there was a away $15,000 one.
Any and again, I know you were pretty focused on cider and some of those kind of things. Do you see any just oddball stuff up for sale at their equipment sale?
Yeah, actually, the coolest thing there was a throwback to Joe Louis Arena. Somehow or another, they were hoarding I think someone said there was about a dozen to maybe 15 player locker room stools from Joe Louis Arena. And they were 350 each, and they flew. I mean, they went right off. Everyone.
Yeah, huge hockey history. Even if you're not a Wings fan, I'm sorry, that's a cool piece of hockey history right there.
And then the other thing that I thought was really cool, and I never seen it before, in the equipment bag section, there was this big bag, like twice the size of a goalie bag, and it was olive green, like military color. And I asked about it. I was like, "What is up with that bag?" And they said it was actually the masseuse bag. So I guess they throw a masseuse table in it that folds up and goes on the road. Yeah. So it was like it was cool, you know.
That's an interesting one because that's like, wait, what the? But it is cool to see what teams put out there of weird stuff and
I think it was only $300 too. So like a fan, like that would have been cool.
Just some of that weird stuff. So of your so you complete the sale and how long were you actually in there? Were you in and out pretty quick or did you spend a lot of time once you got your stuff locked in?
No, because I probably had in hand, I had a Raymond set one red in my hand, and I regret setting it back now. I had both set one ciders, and I set back the away one. But I had so many camp jerseys, and I had a few of the preseason ones, and so I walked away from all the size 56 practice jerseys, and only because they were hammered. But the only reason was because two other players wore that jersey along with Seider. So I knew Seider wore that rookie year, but once second year came in, Seider switched to size 58. So I wanted just something that he wore it. And the cool thing of it is in training camp in Detroit, and I don't know how it is in St. Louis or San Jose, but all defensemen have black. Now they can wear white and red depending on the drills, but certain drills, defensemen put on black practice jerseys, and it's only defensemen. That's how you can tell them apart other than playing where they are. So I was set on, I wanted a black camp jersey for two reasons, because it is a defenseman only, and then it stands out in your collection, right? It's not just the red and white theme you got going on and stuff like that. So I probably had 6 of those in hand. I probably had 8 or 10 jerseys. So I'm looking at them and I'm debating and stuff like that. So I ended up walking out of there with set one home gamer, and then I walked out of there with one camp that was black, and then one home preseason, and I was completely content with that.
Now, what's the pricing on the practice and the preseason ones normally?
They were bad. So Seider, Larkin, Raymond were $1,000 each. Like that's crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Same thing with the preseason ones. I think Canes, they were 2,500. Don't quote me on that, but I think they were like 2,500. And there was also the playoff sets was available, never worn, but playoff sets was available. And Seider's playoff set was $1,000, and I think Canes was 2,500.
And the Canes would have been just the practice jerseys early in preseason. So yeah, wow, 2,500.
Yeah, 2,500 for those. And then I didn't see it, but someone had told me that the most expensive camp jersey was the Larkin, and because he had the most years in it. So since it was always Adidas when he came in, so I think he had like 6 camps in it or something like that. So I think his was a little bit more, because he's the only player that wore 71, and he had so many camps in those jerseys. So I think they said they were a little bit up there. But
God, I mean, to see so many teams when they blow out, especially training camp ones, 100, 150, $200, and then you're talking those prices. Holy hell.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like they sold. I mean, so it's not like they're, as we've talked with Boston or other teams where they throw out these crazy prices, they all go out the door. So it's not like they mispricing things.
Yeah, I mean, I want to assume that St. Louis is just like Detroit. We're a blue collar, boots on the ground type of city, like we're just a working class, community, and we're diehards, and we're faithful to our sports teams too far. And I can't speak on this 100%, but from what I've heard from other collectors, they say Detroit's market is probably in the top 5 for pricing and stuff like that. And we all joke and say we would love to, just unionize and say, we're not going to buy this stuff and let them bring down the prices. And that's great in theory. But the problem of it is somebody with bigger pockets is just going to come in and take it anyway. So we're forced to do it. We're not happy about it, but, we're psychos. I mean, it's part of this trade,
I mean, thinking of Wade, thinking of just some of our blues auctions and stuff, especially with the bigger guns. I mean, the price, none of our pricing's even close to this. Even with our star guys, you're muted. But
unmute me. No, it's wild. Even Paul out in California, I think, we've seen some of the pricing, the Sharks pricing sometimes is like, wow. After the Blues Cup run, obviously, like there was a lot more interest and a lot more outside interest, and prices jumped quite a bit. I think we're starting to see them fall back to a little bit more normal, middle, tier pricing for the hobby and stuff. But man, listening to Robert talk about some of these prices, it's just pretty.
I wouldn't
incredible.
be able to buy a jersey. I mean,
no, yeah. I mean,
it would price me out.
Well, yeah, I mean, instead of buying, here, and like the one good thing, I think the one thing that's a game changer, it sounds like in Detroit is it's a once a year thing. You're getting access to these once a year, so you do have the ability to maybe save up to get your one guy. Whereas with like the Blues, we're doing them throughout the year, tons of sets. But for a guy like Robert who's collecting one guy, I think knowing, hey man, I'm gotta go to this sale and I know I gotta have $6,000 in my pocket for a jersey. I guess the way you collect would have to change substantially.
But Wade, like you just said it though, is the sale, it's once a year. So you have once you empty your pockets, Robert, for this sale, then you can start filling it. And by the time you get the next one, you're about ready. But get it's dropped once a quarter. So every couple of months.
That's the worst thing for us. The worst thing for us is sometimes whenever I always joke about getting hit by one where, like now we're doing those, Hall of Fame night shoulder patches, so like the Blues will get us with that auction. And then next thing you know, 2 weeks later, they're hitting you with another set of something else. And you're just like, dear Lord, because I mean, let's say you want to get into a certain player or a star player and you're, say 750 or 1,000 and up, and then they hit you 2 weeks later and you need something else. And that's another, it can get challenging. I know that as the prices went up over the years, my collecting habits have changed, and also like saying, oh man, I know there's going to be something else I need more. I'm just going to have to sit this one out. You have to be sensible so that you can be ready for the stuff that really matters.
Sure. And Wade, the year that, and you bought some and I've got a bunch now, the year that the Blues were transitioning from the regular Adidas to the prime green, where the Blues, most of the players wore the non-prime green in preseason, and they started the first game of the season, sold them at 400, and then games thereafter dropped them down. I mean, through a collector picked up a Barbashev and a Robert Thomas for $300 each. Yeah, there's not much wear to them because they're preseason, and I looked at the thing, they only played 2 games each, but I can't afford a multi-cup winner Barbashev now any other way. But I'll take a preseason one for $300.
Yeah, the market that was a really wild thing. Like those all showed up in those first couple games, and again, I think they had just, it was just one of those. It was a hard one because it's like, man, you got to pay, figure out what you can grab for that price, and then what's coming next. Are they going to do an opening night jersey, or you have to get creative. And I think that's the one thing that's happened, at least for me in the hobby, and I think for a lot of people is, and I really think in the last five years, the amount of collectors and the amount of like people that are out hunting for other teams' stuff, or people logging into the Blues auctions or logging into other teams' auctions and grabbing stuff, I think as that has increased, the pricing has obviously increased. And I mean, here, I don't want to, you have to think about the economy of the whole thing, and funding this hobby can be expensive.
And Robert, in the case of the wings, like the day of sale, I'm assuming later, I think I remember seeing some posts as people were calling the store to try and get some stuff, but most of it you've got to be there for, or work through you or somebody else to say, hey, can you watch out for this? This stuff isn't posted online like the Blues or like the Sharks or a lot of other teams. Do you think that's an advantage for a wings collector or a disadvantage?
I think if you're a local Wings fan, it's an advantage.
Super advantage, yeah.
Obviously,
if you're not out of town, if you're Paul, I mean, that's tough.
It's tough for him, yeah. But I mean, now that we've connected on this show, if I'm there and he needs something, I get my hands on it. I'm his guy.
Sure.
And that's throughout the whole season too. But Paul knows a lot of people over here as well, and I think he's connected with the store as well. So I'd be more than happy to help Paul out or anybody.
A legend.
Exactly.
So this would have been the year to go back for the sale. From what I understand, there were more racks of jerseys than ever. It's well, before I get into that, I just want to say about the pricing for the Red Wings. I always defend them in the sense they have many years where they only wore one set and a playoff set. I mean, hopefully a playoff set next year. And then they've been wearing two sets during the season. That's still a lot less than a lot of other teams. And they only have jerseys most years. I mean, they had the reverse retro 2 years ago. And of course, the prices are a little bit higher.
You guys are wearing substantially less jerseys than other teams, substantially less.
Which makes them harder to get your hands on, especially if you're fighting for a Seider or, one of the top players, which, all their jerseys sell. I don't think all the Larkins sold, which, which is one of the players, we collect a little bit. I would like to collect more, but the price point kind of like prevents us from, grabbing a bunch of his jerseys. But, I'll just say with, the increased wear that they're wearing fewer jerseys than other teams, it makes sense to higher price points. Now, whether it justifies, $10K or something, that's a different argument.
It's definitely a supply and demand thing, but compared to other teams, even in some cases, the Blues, when you get a jersey and you're looking for, you find one stick mark or one puck mark, depending on the type of player, your guys are hammered to hell. So it's not like it's hard to know, okay, it's set one, and okay, my God, he wore it all these games. You're getting good solid wear. We may be matching stuff off a loose thread. Unfortunately.
Yeah. That's not happening with the bulk of the Detroit jerseys, fortunately. And plus, it's like
tell them to play better.
Yeah. And it's the best looking jersey in the NHL. So
I mean, I don't knock it. The classic wings look, it does. It's some of those classic teams. Yeah. I mean, I always liked when Detroit came to St. Louis because they just looked badass when they were there.
And I do a couple of years when the Red Wings have come out here to San Jose, they've actually worn the red jerseys. They had, I think, at least one trip 2 years ago, and I can't remember if the year before that, they did the reverse color trip to the West Coast, which was really nice seeing the home Reds here. And hopefully that happens again this year.
Maybe the push to just swap them at December where you switch the home and the away colors. That'd be phenomenal. I would push for that, but I don't know why the NHL continues to sit on it.
Yeah, away whites are generally the same, and boring. I would love to see all the teams coming in here with different colors, and the way they used to do it was wonderful. But
I agree with that. I agree. It's time. They said that the reason they did it, and a lot of teams they did it was because they found which jersey sold more versus the home and away. So it's only a matter of time until they decide to switch it back up, I think. I hope. I'd like to see the home teams in white. To me, that just makes sense.
Yeah. And even if you do a split season on it, half your home whites. Yeah.
And a future show idea, I think all of us have to come to a show with our top 5 jerseys and our bottom 5 jerseys at some point. I think we have to come up with a list. We'll do a show based upon our likes and dislike lists.
Yes, and we'll even when we get to that, we'll put a poll out about a week before on the Dirty Laundry page so other people can vote or comment so we can pull
Yeah,
through those as
absolutely.
well. So Robert, do you have any jerseys, Red Wings jerseys besides Cider, first of all?
Cider and Raymond. Yeah.
Okay. And of any of the ones you have, which one's your favorite one?
My favorite one has to be the first one, the white one behind me, the rookie year one. That has to be my favorite one for sure.
And again, the whites, it's funny because how many times I've talked to people interested in buying even just one game worn jersey, and I suggest, especially with the Blues, because I kind of track what they wear, and the Blues actually put it on their website of what jersey they're wearing when. I tell them to go with the whites because that's you get the most, especially the last few years where you're wearing third jerseys or specialty jerseys, all these different stuff. They're only wearing the whites and they're getting 10, 11, 12 games out of them. So they're beat to hell a lot more, especially if you have teams wearing a lot of different home stuff.
Me personally, I'm a solid guy, and so I'm an anal collector. Like I don't even touch these without gloves on and stuff like that. And I'm already freaking out that I'm worried about the white aging at some point. At some point, I'm gonna have my basement set up like a museum where I'm gonna have a whole library with the fake false door that you walk in and you walk into my museum. Unfortunately, people won't be able to touch my stuff because it'll be behind glass and stuff like that. And these things aren't even out all the time. These are all just for this podcast, just so people can see a little bit.
How well we rate guys to be able to see Robert Pauley's out. But no, I mean every collector, and I don't knock how any collector handles theirs or shows them off or puts it behind glass or whatever. That's you being you. You do your thing, and it's awesome that you can share it in a however way. But then again, with putting them behind glass or storing them better, then you wear the player hoodies, and big deal.
I've never show off. Yeah, I've never worn this before. This is just for tonight, just to show. Like I wanted to do something. It was either this or Detroit versus everyone. But I actually really love that retro jersey too. Like a lot of people online and people on TV, they knocked it a lot, but you have to be in person to see that jersey. In person, that jersey is so sharp. It is so cool, and I really like that jersey as well.
A couple final questions before we kind of wrap things up is you did mention earlier the sponsor patch. Did that, again, you collect a player, but did that get you turned off a little bit on continuing to collect him or buying less because it had a sponsor patch on it?
I mean, I don't like it, but it's not gonna deter me from collecting him, not at all. And then real quick too, just to maybe help the team store out. But if you're going to be in the Traverse City area during training camp, they do ship all the jerseys that didn't sell up there, and people can buy them. And there's some kind of charity thing where the stadium and someone ends up getting 10% of each sale. So if you missed out on that, you can go to training camp. And then also, as soon as preseason happens, if you get yourself a ticket, and tickets for preseason is much cheaper than game day ones, you bring yourself to Detroit, you can get your hands on the leftovers.
No, and that's awesome. I know in years past, and I'm going to try and get to Blues training camp this year, but in years past, they used to sell, when they had a glut of them, jerseys out at training camp and were $75 to $100 a piece. So again, a lot of them either no-name guys or old stuff, but yeah, check those places out because sometimes they show up and you don't know it.
Before you go on,
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to throw on the sponsor patch. Robert brought up an interesting note that they were added to the set one jerseys, and the sponsor patch did not appear till well into the second part of the season when the Red Wings went on that terrible losing streak. When Larkin was injured, we can blame the patch. But my understanding from talking to them about what they did is they added the patch to the bulk of the set one jerseys, except for two of the Larkins, because something about the placement of the C. And those jerseys were then used as backup jerseys in set two. So if one jersey got bloodied or something, they'd switch back into set one quickly. And I don't know how many of those set ones actually were worn in a backup role in set two. But that was the logic on why they added the patch. And in a way, I think it's unfortunate because I would have loved to have a set from this year without that patch, but
And it begs the question too: is there any jerseys in that set one once that patch was added that covered over marks? If there was something in the spot where that patch was going, did you then lose a photo match opportunity or something else that patch may have covered?
you're right on with that. And that also went over where the Stockholm patch was, because the set one whites were worn in Stockholm and never auctioned off. The patch was then removed, and the trash patch was eventually sponsored.
Wow.
Patch. Sorry, yes, that's a
God,
trash company.
They're incredibly cheap. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, like the fact that, I mean, I hate to jump in on that and say that, but geez, like how is somebody in that organization not smart enough to see them selling these jerseys for 5, 8, 10, 15 grand and be like, hey, we need to keep these and sell these. Let's just run through another set. Like,
because people would have killed to get the Stockholm.
Correct. The incredible like infancy of stupidity in that is incredible to me. To hear that like right now just blows my mind that they're that dumb.
Yeah, it's. I guess they're trying to save money on jerseys so they can sign Brett Hull for the fourth line.
And not only that, so I was at those games, and they missed the opportunity on all the helmets. All the helmets got stripped. The Meyer, all the Meyer sponsorship, and it went to the what was the name of the Fastener. They were on both helmets, and I would have loved to have gotten my hand. I'm dying for a Seider white helmet. I'm dying to get one of those, and they missed a huge opportunity. They'd have came back and they would have tripled their money on that stuff. And that was,
how do they not? I mean, how does somebody not just say, "Hey, let's just circulate these in," and make
because
some money?
The premium they could have asked for the Stockholm stuff. Holy hell!
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, look what the red ones sold for. The ones that did get out. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredibly poor management of that program for that organization.
Well, I will defend them on this, and Paul Boyer's job and the rest of the staff there, and whoever's doling out the money, their job is to win games and get the team ready.
Yeah, for sure.
We're secondary, and as much as we love this hobby, they're going to do whatever's best to win games and get the team ready.
For sure. So, and I guess I should step back on that. It's just like considering how much some of these other organizations like run through the stuff. To me, it's just so not trying to bash anybody by any means. I didn't want it to come off that way, but like just the fact that like it seems like a missed opportunity for revenue with the jerseys, and maybe they're focused on other things. To me, it's just incredible that they don't do more with that.
And following up on that a little bit further, I noticed 2 pairs of gloves behind Robert. Red Wings gear is incredibly difficult to get your hands on. I'm assuming one of them might have came with a set of jerseys or something. I'm not sure. Or did you get the gloves behind you at the sales?
So I actually got the gloves. I got the gloves throughout the season. I actually got 4 sets of Seider gloves, but the unique one about these ones is he got the extra pad on them, but he must not have liked them because those went out of circulation, went right into the store, and I got them. And then this set over here was actually through the foundation. And with Seider, you got to be careful getting a signature from Seider. As much as I love him, sometimes you get a great signature, sometimes you get a really bad one. So these were actually auctioned off in the foundation. And so I was able to look at them, and he put 2 beautiful signatures on them. So I actually bought these through the foundation. But the other 3 sets that I have of Seiders, they actually, I got them just foot traffic on a game day, just random day that they were hanging up on the hook, and I snagged them.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I know it's tough to get their gear. It's especially being out here in California. We don't have too many shots of them. Now, for the foundation one, was that an online auction or was that in a game?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So it gave more traction, and most of the time those the sales go through the roof because I think, if I'm not mistaken, you get a receipt that you can claim it on your taxes. So that's a lot of times on the warm-up jerseys, they go through the roof over here. Like your average warm-up jersey goes for like $5 to $6 grand, And just, the big fish just come in and they can just write it off. People that
Oh my God.
Wait. Ouch. Wow. So
Yeah.
we've discussed this on the show previously with warm-up jerseys and stuff. Now with the NHL rule of not allowing warm-up jerseys on the ice, are the Red Wings warm-up jerseys still going for pricing like that, or has that impacted it?
No, it hasn't impacted it. And now they just show pictures of them walking into the arena, going into the locker room, wearing the jersey, and then they sign it, and then it goes up for auction. And I know like Seiders go for like $5,000, all the big stuff like that. But like I said, the only thing I can wrap my head around it is, because it's online, more people see it, and you do get I think you do get like a tax number, or you get like something saying that you donated to it because like for charity. And then I think in those people, defense, I think they can just, people that are going to have to write off anyway, they can just use it as a write off, and they got a gift as well. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
And especially on the business side, it makes sense if they're buying them, because the typical jersey price, I think, is like $200 or $250. So anything over that is writable. And I know for most of us, the standard people, we have to hit a lot of things before we can write that off. But businesses hit that at a different level. One final question for me before we hit Paul and Wade for any is, are you nervous or anxious or anything about this coming season with Fanatics doing the jerseys?
Yeah, I'm not so much about the jerseys themselves, because what it seems like is everyone's saying that it's the company out of Quebec that's been doing the jerseys for 50 years. My only concern with Fanatics is kind of like what Paul was saying earlier about our team Detroit, where we only have the 2 sets. With them taking over, you don't know that they could end up sending jerseys to all these teams and having players wear them for one shift, one period, whatever, and then auction them off somewhere else. And like in baseball, they have the baseball cards where it says the debut jersey. Who's to say that all rookies in their debut, they could have a debut jersey, have it somewhere on there. And as soon as that game is over, it could go up, and it's great for the fans, but it almost, it waters down the game use stuff. And that's the one thing that I am worried about, that once they take over, how many sets could be out there.
I'm hopeful that the NHL is still pretty tight on that and says, hey, the teams can make the decision what they're doing with them. If teams want to sign with Fanatics to market them or whatever, great. But if you're doing it yourself, or if you're doing it through Migrate, or however you're doing it, you get to keep that. Because if the NHL starts pulling those kind of controls away from teams, what else will they attempt to pull? I think you piss off a lot of people, and then it could cost them revenue. Wade, we'll start with you. Have you got any final questions for Robert?
No, hey, Robert, thanks for coming on. It was really interesting to hear another perspective and hear about the sale in your collection. So thanks for doing that. Good luck to you guys this season. And thanks for joining us.
Man, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. I mean, I can't tell you how nervous I was leading up to this.
Have you seen this group? There's nothing to be nervous about.
It still meant a lot to me. Like, you guys have been, we're all probably right around the same age, but you guys have been in the industry and the hobby way longer than I have. And I wanted to, respect and honor the show and the hobby, and even Detroit. I'm repping Detroit here. Right now, anything I say or how I act, it's a reflection on my city and my team and stuff like that. So it means a lot to me to hold that ground. And I'm nothing but impressed with this show, and I take it serious. And
the fact that and Wade and Paul, I haven't told you this. He messaged me earlier today, and we talked about it before you guys joined us on the video before the show. He binge watched every episode before coming on. That's dedication.
Well, that's really cool.
Research and planning. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. It's really cool.
That explains.
Yeah, you jumped our numbers. Thanks. No, thanks for the kind words. That's really cool. And we say it all the time. I think as far as Doc's show and having us on, I think we all take a lot of pride in kind of what we bring to the hobby. I think that's something I think about. When we do this, is I think it's great that we have a forum to do it, and I hope we're honoring the hobby every week when we put one of these together. And I hope we're doing a great job, and people listen to it and go, hey man, those guys they care about what we care about, and they're making it fun.
So, Paul, anything final questions or anything from you for Robert?
Well, this has been great. Appreciate you, Robert, coming on here, and no reason to be nervous. It was absolutely wonderful. Great seeing the stuff you have. I guess one thing, it sounds like you've been to 3 Red Wing sales now. And,
Yep.
Have you been to one of the Detroit Expos yet?
No, I haven't because they're always on a game day, and so I always go to the game, and I wish they wouldn't be on the same day.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, this year's I can't remember the date. I know Michigan has a football game that day.
No,
Which
actually,
for me, it's football season right now. But yeah,
actually, I was at the expo last year because there was like a touching story of a player that passed away.
Yes.
I actually did stuff. That was on the east side of the suburbs of Detroit. And I actually popped in there. Yeah, I did. And I was really impressed with Vegas's jerseys up close and personal. I never seen them, and the detail on those jerseys were like I was like, well, because I'm not a big fan of that glittery like girly stuff like LA has in Vegas.
Yeah.
But there is a nice appreciation for a Vegas gamer in person. I'll give them that.
Well, see, you can fly down to St. Louis. You're in Detroit. A flight from Detroit to St. Louis is easy.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll definitely look you guys up. Haven't been to St. Louis yet. Usually try to do at least one road game a year. But whenever we do, I'll definitely reach out to you and Wade.
Hey, who are we playing the night of the Expo? Because I know there's a home game there.
Hurricanes. The Hurricanes.
So see, Robert, fly down because a lot of guys get in on a Friday and we BS and pal around and catch up and then do the show Saturday, Sunday. And again, with having a home game, last year we had one, we'll do another one this year.
Absolutely.
highly recommended. That's it.
I definitely want to do it. Because I've binge watched all your shows, if you don't mind, I know you guys usually ask that question. Is there anything in the hobby that you'd like to see change or something like that?
Damn it, you beat me to the question.
I have 2 things. I'm old school, so I'm very sad that we can't get paper ticket stubs anymore. And I've talked about this to a lot of people, and I wish I could get it going, but I'm afraid that if I spun all the money and got it going, some big fish like Fanatics or something like would just steal my thunder. But I would love that I would love to see every stadium across the board, no matter what sport it is, have a kiosk where you can scan your digital ticket and then you just pay $5, $10, $15, whatever it is, and they give you your exact seat, your ticket, and paper comes out right there, and you're good to go. And the other thing is, I'm also a huge gold puck collector of Seider. So I have 7 of his 21 gold pucks. So I have a third of his gold pucks in my collection. Wow. And I would love to see where they make a rule where all visiting teams that score their goals, that team takes their gold pucks with them. So if you're after a certain player or team, one-stop shop. If you're a St. Louis guy and if someone scored there, I got to go to St. Louis. All I know is I got to go to St. Louis and I can get that gold puck, or at least try to get that puck, or San Jose or Detroit. And I think that would just make things so much easier.
Yeah, that one I'm not as sure about because I like having the away gold pucks here in San Jose because I'm able to pick up the occasional Red Wings, a Norris puck or players which I really like.
Yeah, but
that's I'd have to think about that one a little bit more. As for tickets, I love that idea. I will add 2 things to it. When you go to a game in Vegas, they scan your ticket. They actually give you a little paper receipt with your seat and stuff on it, which you actually need, like if you're in certain club levels and all that. And it's smaller than a regular ticket, but it has, the date of the game. It has your seats on it. It's something at least. I wish at the minimum teams would do that. Then for the Rose Bowl this year, after the game, we got an offer from Michigan. I think they were $10 or $15 each. You could order commemorative tickets of your seats, which was like the old style Rose Bowl tickets with your actual seats. So we went ahead and ordered those for our tickets there. And, I was fine paying whatever it was, whether it was 10 or 15 each. It was well worth it. But I absolutely hate not having paper tickets. And I hate getting into a game, trying to pull up your digital tickets when they're not loading, and it's just never had that problem with paper. So it's
and I will say, just to jump off that a little bit, I made it to my first baseball game in many years last Wednesday because my son and his school were singing before the game, and the school dealt with the tickets, and when we got them brought to us, they were actual paper tickets. I don't know if the season ticket holders can ask for those or what, but in my case, it was a nice look and had a picture of Busch Stadium or something else on it and everything else. One side note I do want to mention, just because it's sports and could be hobby related, is the Cardinals are sucking really bad. Yesterday, they wanted to try and get butts in the seats, so they just put online, go here, and you could get up to 9 tickets. And it was a small fee for the ticket itself, which was 45 cents a ticket, and then a Ticketmaster fee or something else. So you were paying like less than $5 per ticket to go to a baseball game. Do any of you think that would ever happen at an NHL game?
No.
Not
I think no. I mean, the Cardinal situation's crazy right now, and I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find an NHL game. I don't think anybody, I don't think they'd ever do that.
I know Paul knows this, but back in the day when our really bad years, like in the late '80s, early '90s, our nickname was the Dead Wings, and there was a time that you could actually go into a gas station. There'd be a stack of Red Wing tickets, and I would go to. I would sit center ice, second row up, put my coat on one end, and popcorn next to me. They were giving away cars and everything like that. So it did happen once upon a time.
And even in the StubHub era, when the Blues weren't great, I'd pick up weeknight tickets for $15 or $20, and even the full club seats for $75. But I was just surprised to see that yesterday. And honestly, if I'd have been around St. Louis, had nothing to do, I'd have debated going to a game for free just to go. I mean, baseball was slow as hell. The game last week, I left at halfway through the 7th to drive home because it's an hour and a half drive. I get home and checked, and they won in 10 innings off a grand slam home run. But I'm like, I wouldn't have cared if they did it or not. So I'm just a hockey guy.
Yeah, I think for the cheap tickets, I would actually like to see that go into like the AHL here. And the reason why is the Barracuda midweek games, sometimes there's like 200, 300, 400 people there. It's like it's only a 5,000 seat rink, but there are certain games where it is so empty. And even like the weekend games, besides like the promotions like Country Night or a few others, it's still a couple thousand at most, 2,000, 2,500. Why not put a bunch of cheap tickets out there to the schools to, something? I mean, tickets you start at like, I think $15, $20 on through the Barracuda site for regular game tickets. But, why not make them dirt cheap and just try to get people out there? We're in a non-hockey town with 2 teams, and it's NHL games. There's an entry point on price to get into those games, which makes it difficult for some people. With us having an AHL team here, I'd love to see heavily discounted tickets or free tickets to schools and just get butts in the seats there, and people will enjoy it and they'll actually start paying and be back. But,
Robert, any other final things from you before we wrap this up?
If you don't mind, could I plug my Facebook and my Instagram?
Of course. Nope, of course. No, we don't want anybody to see your stuff.
Okay, so I have created a fan page for Moritz Seider on Facebook, and obviously that format allows you to share all your encounters with him or your collection or anything you're looking for. I've set it up, but I really haven't asked anyone to join it. So this would be the perfect stage for me to like my coming out party. So Instagram, obviously it would be controlled by me because I don't think people can do that, but at least they can still see this stuff. But on both platforms, all one word, Skating with Seider. Look me up. If you're a fan of the Red Wings or you're a fan of Moritz Seider and you want to keep that community, please come join us. I would love to have you. And once again,
go ahead.
And once again, I can't thank the 3 of you guys enough. Huge fans of this show. It's been an honor just talking hockey and the hobby with you guys and stuff like that.
I was so glad you reached out after listening to the other shows when we were looking. And anybody, if you go to equipment sales and we didn't have boots on the ground there, reach out to us because we'd love to get those details, or if you're at some special event and they had game worn stuff or whatever, let us know. We will definitely work you in on the show. But no, Robert, you had nothing to be nervous about. Did phenomenal. It made another great show. Like we said, the David Perron edition of the show with number 57.
Now with David Perron in St. Louis, so in Detroit, so I pay attention to detail. So Seider, so the last three guys in line when David Perron was here was Raymond, Seider, Perron. And when Seider goes out, anytime he goes in and out of the ice, he taps both sides of his stick between the boards where the opening is. Now, David Perron, it's really strange, but every time he walks out into the ice, he stands behind Seider about 4 feet, but he holds his stick straight out like a rifle, just barely touching Seider's back before he go on the ice. Is that something he did in St. Louis?
I'll have to look for videos. I don't recall that.
Yeah, me neither.
But that's
he would hold it straight out like this, and it would just be a few inches from Seider's back. Seider would tap the boards, go out to the rink, and then
maybe it was just something between those two. But that's a cool thing, and it's fun to watch some of those weird things, because I actually just saw a video on YouTube the other day somebody put out about all the weird things goalies do when they hit the ice. So it's fun to see some of that. But no, Robert, thank you again for your stories and camping out for what could have been really messy with getting kicked off the thing there, but you guys handled it well and made the best of it. And it's cool to hear those stories, because I know not a lot of people will do that or stay out that long. I mean, Wade and I have done it I've done it at 1:30 in the morning, and it opened at 9 or 10. So not nearly as long as that, but just got kind of a taste of that. And being in downtown St. Louis in the middle of the night, it's always interesting. But we appreciate your support. We appreciate everybody else's support out there. Again, we continue every week to go up on the number of follows on YouTube and the likes across the board. So thank you. If you have ideas for shows, if you want to come on, if there's something you want a topic to cover, send it out there, because we're getting closer and closer to the season. So we'll be focusing on what the team's Fanatics jerseys look like, what we're seeing, what we're hearing, some of the insider info that we get from places. So, and if you have insider info on things, please feel free to reach out to us. We do not give out sources. We information. If you just want to tell us secretly, so we wouldn't even put it on the show, just to give us some background on things, it will be protected. I've been in the media long enough to completely understand how important that is, no matter what this topic is. So again, Robert, thank you. Wade, Paul, thank you guys very much. It's been another fun show, and we'll see you back next week.